Hey everybody! Today we're going to work on our lesson 4 problem set in our blue math packet, so please have that ready to go in front of you. Today we're going to be, again, creating a bar graph and analyzing the data. So for number 1, it says, complete the bar graph using the table with the types of bugs Alicia counted in the park. Then answer the following questions. So here we go. We see our data table. We have a title, types of bugs. We have categories, butterflies, spiders, bees, and grasshoppers. And then we have the data. And you can see they just wrote the numbers there. They didn't do tallies, they just wrote the numbers. So in order to complete our bar graph, we have to have a title, the categories, and in this case, the numbers. So we know by now that our title is the same as the one in the data table. Types of bugs works. We are also going to do the categories. So if you want to just write the first letter, you can. I'm going to type mine in since they give me a little more room. So for bees and butterflies, you might have to, for butterflies, write BU, and for bees, maybe just write the word bees. So I have spiders, and then you can see I skipped butterflies, then I skipped a row, and I have spiders, and then I will skip a row, and I will write bees, and then I will skip a row, and go ahead on yours, make sure you have all of your categories. When you do this on an exit ticket on Class Kick, if you want to type in the title, like I did, or type in the categories, that's totally fine. And now we're going to, at the bottom, write the numbers. So we already have the 0, so we're just going to keep counting. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and do this on in your packet, please. So now that we've done that, we can go ahead and start coloring the bars for the bar graph. So again, we know that there are 5 butterflies, so we're going to find the number 5, go up to the butterfly row. We're going to put a nice dark line here. That way we know that that's where we mean to stop. We outline it, and then we color in the very best we can. I'm using very short strokes when I'm coloring on my computer using the mouse pad because I don't want to get too crazy. So I'm just trying to go very, very careful. So go ahead and do 5 butterflies in your packet. We can see from the data table that spiders is the long one. So when we skip a row, then we can come down and we can make this whole entire row is the spider row. So we're going to color in the 14 spiders. Okay, I'm almost done. So I have butterflies, I skipped a row, spiders, skip a row. Now I'm going to do 12 bees. I'm going to mark a dark line here on the 12. So in your packet, go ahead and color in the 12 bees in the bar graph. When we're done with that, we will skip a row and we will do the grasshoppers. So there are 7 grasshoppers. So I darken the 7 line, outline the boxes, and color it in as neatly as I can. So while I don't expect these to be perfect on your exit ticket, I expect you to take a minute and try to color them in the best you can. Not looking for, for perfection. We're just looking for your best work. All right, here we go. I think that will be Good. All right. Now that I have finished my bar graph, I can analyze the data and answer the questions at the bottom. The first one simply says, how many butterflies were counted in the park? Well, this one I just get to look in the data table or look in the bar graph, and I simply see there are 5, I'm going to change my color, 5 butterflies in the park. So go ahead and just write the number 5. Letter B, on the other hand, says, how many more, we know those words, how many more bees than grasshoppers were counted in the park? Well, when I look at my data table, I can see that I had 12 bees and 7 grasshoppers. And I know that when the question says how many more, I know they want me to subtract. So I have to start with my bigger number, and I can simply do 12, take away 7, and the answer is 5. There are 5 more bees than grasshoppers that were counted in the park. Letter C says, which bug was counted twice as many times as grasshoppers? Well, grasshoppers was 7. In order to count twice as many, we need to do that number twice. So what number is 7 plus 7 more? 14 is that number, right? But the question doesn't ask me what number. The question asks me which bug. So I need to think about which bug were there 14 of. Yes, the answer to that is spiders. So go ahead and write spiders in your packet for letter C. So you have to be really careful when you're looking at the question because this doesn't want to know the number 14. It wants to know which bug had the number 14. When we look at D, it says, how many bugs did Alicia count in the park? Well, if I want to know how many bugs she counted total, I've got a lot of adding to do. I'm going to actually do my adding up here at the top where there's a little more room. So I can do this a couple ways. I personally would like to write it vertically. I'm going to keep my 14 spiders and I'm going to keep my 12 bees, but I'm going to combine my 7 grasshoppers and 5 butterflies. And when I combine those, I know that 7 plus 5 is 12. So instead of adding 4 numbers, I'm only adding 3, which I think will be a little bit easier. So in the ones place, I have 4 plus 2, which is 6, plus 2 more, which is 8. And in the tens place, I have 1, 2, 3, which means when I go back down to C, how many bugs did Alicia count in the park? Make sure you write 38. She counted 38 bugs in the park. Last, how many fewer, oh, there's those words again, how many fewer butterflies than bees and grasshoppers were counted in the park? So we see butterflies is by itself, but bees and grasshoppers is combined. So let's write down our numbers. We know that for butterflies, there were 5. Write that in your packet. We know that for bees, there's 12. And we know that for grasshoppers, there was 7. So remember, there's 2 things we have to do here. Bees and grasshoppers is combined. So first I have to figure out 12 plus 7. 12 plus 7 equals 19. Write that down. Now that I have that total, now I can finish my problem. How many fewer tells me to subtract. And when I subtract, I start with the big number. So I'm starting with 19, and 19 take away 5 equals 14. So how many fewer butterflies than bees and grasshoppers? The answer is 14. There were 14 fewer butterflies than bees and grasshoppers that were counted in the park. Boys and girls, again, take your time on your graph. Be sure to fill in all the blank spaces, the title, the categories, the bars, and the numbers at the bottom. And when you're analyzing the data and you're answering the questions, please read the questions very, very carefully and write down all of your work so I can see exactly what you're thinking. Do a great job.